Welcome to Latter Day Women Warriors. We just wanted to take a second to do a quick video, um, but knowing us, it won't really be quick. But we're glad you'll be here with us. We wanted to, first of all, we wanted to take a moment and let people know that our prayers are for those
Yes.
who have had the sad experience of being in one of our chapels. Well, someone crashed in and burned it down and shot people. At this point, we do not know what in Michigan. Sorry, in Michigan, we don't know what the motive was or why he chose our chapel to do it at. Nothing has come out that says he is or has been a member of our church yet. What we do know is that 4 have died, plus the shooter, and at least 10 or 11 have been injured. Um, One is left in critical condition in the hospital. Everybody else may still be in the hospital, but it's not in critical condition. So um, we give our prayers to those families and to those children that had to witness that and to have a full recovery mentally and be able to continue on in life. Seems like that's happening a lot now
Yep.
with people of religious faith, mostly Christians. Uh, that believe in a Christ. It seems to be what is our lot at this time in life, that there are people that are willing to go to this lengths because of what we believe, which is interesting to me because what we believe doesn't really affect them, but yet for some reason they make it a point to affect our life in some way. So, anything else you want to say with that, Jen?
No, I mean, I woke up this morning and got the news about President Nelson. And then within, it seemed like a half hour, I got the news about what happened in Michigan. And I thought our community, as members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter day Saints and as Christians, like it was just heartbreaking news today all around.
Yeah, it was.
And prayers to all the families, yes, all the families who have been affected at that ward building, and to as well President Nelson's family for his passing.
Yeah, you look at the pictures and you can tell it was a stake center because it was a
Yeah.
very big
Hmm.
building. And it's like
Gone.
levels. I
Yep.
mean, and burnt, and it was sad to watch it. I We had just barely come home from our service
Hmm.
and got on to watch football of all things, and this was on TV. Um, and that was, heart wrenching to watch. Um, a sad moment happen to those who were simply trying to worship
Hmm.
their savior. As for President Nelson, that was I heard that last night
Mm.
after I was watching the BYU game, and
Mm.
I stayed up a little bit and it came over my phone, but before I went to bed, and I thought how fitting that is with some things that have happened lately in the world. And then I wake up and hear, after church, hear this. And I'm thinking, what was the reasoning? Could they have not left him for one day? Because I heard someone at church say, I feel like we're leaderless.
Mm. Interesting.
And I was kind of like, well, we're not, A.
Yeah. No.
But then you go home and you see this on the news. That person goes home and sees this on the news and thinks, well, I can imagine some of their thoughts. At first they thought they felt leaderless, and then they feel attacked. And what do you do with those kind of feelings, right? And so that is heart wrenching to know someone that is feeling in that space. And I
Right.
reached out and talked with them for a little bit. Um, I think he left an amazing legacy. Is really um, what I could say. They were trying to link the two things in some of the
Mhm.
newscasts. And I loved what one member of the church, who used to be a FBI agent for some
Mhm.
reason, and they were talking to them. And they said, I don't know how this could be related because, and then they got all choked up and started to cry because our prophet really only taught love. He was one prophet that you could just feel and always heard from him about love and kindness and
Mhm.
peacemaking and all of those things that we talked about in our last video.
I know, of all things.
Um, and so they were like, I don't know how they could be related. Now, there could be many different ways. There is a possibility it could be
Mhm.
related, but we don't need to speculate on that because we have no idea. We really
Right.
have no idea. But that truly is his legacy, is that peacemaking and that love and that just his demeanor in and of himself.
Mhm.
Another thing that I thought of too, I said to my husband, was that he has opened up a little bit of um what's the word? They say it all the time when you open something up so people can see what's going on. Um they
I
say
don't
it all the
know.
time in businesses, in um the government, that we need more transparency. There we go. I found the
Ah!
word. More
Okay. Yes.
transparency in the president's life because he was willing to share when his body was breaking down. And I think it's because it's easy for him to talk about medical things.
True.
It was just a day or two ago that there was a report through the church news that he told his counselors and told people it was okay for them to tell the members of the church that he's lost his sight.
Yes.
And I was like, we we've been through, at least I remember, some of our prophets that really were suffering and may have not necessarily been able to um, physically lead the church. They were there
Right.
mentally, but they were not there physically. And it caused a lot of angst in members of the church, saying that
Mhm.
they were not being transparent with the members of the church. But he was always willing to do that. He didn't hide his cane. He didn't, it's just he was willing to, and I think it's because it was easy for him to talk about medical things. It was easy for him to talk about those things. They
Well,
were part of his daily life before he became an apostle.
and that's the interesting part to me, Myrna. It seems if you do look at the prophets that we've had, President and Nelson and stuff, it's so interesting to see their worldly profession, their life before they were an apostle, and how it relates to being an apostle and then possibly a prophet. Because with Nelson, you just said it. He understood the medical, and who did we have as prophet under COVID?
Mm.
We had the medical guy, the doctor, who has been who is, like you said, that outpouring of love. You can just feel the heart in him.
Mhm.
And he was a
Mhm.
heart surgeon. Like he
Yeah.
literally held hearts in his hand.
Yeah.
I just find that so interesting. And if you go back and you look at Elder Monson, what was Elder Monson doing before he was an apostle and prophet?
He was a printer.
He was a printer. And what did he do when it came to the Book of Mormon? He had it got translated into
Translated into
86
more languages than already were.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
82 and then up to 110, and then in 2017 the triple combination was printed into 34 new languages. I
Yeah.
look at that and go, is that a coincidence
No.
that he
Uh,
took the passions that he had and he was the prophet to really get behind it and move it out there?
well, no, because they're men,
Yeah.
right? And you bring your talents that the Lord uses has a lot to do
Oh
with
yeah.
what you enjoy and,
Yeah.
and gain knowledge of in this life.
Mhm.
It's not you're not all of a sudden going to be, if you were not working in computers, you aren't all of a sudden going to know how to code because you become prophet.
Correct.
He uses what you have, the knowledge and the desire
Mhm.
to either learn or have learned because of your desire
Mhm.
to do so.
So uh with President Oaks, in the protocol that we have for getting a new prophet, just like the Catholic Church has a protocol and the conclave and all that they do, we have our own, and we'll kind of go through it here a little. But I mean, next in line, we understand is Dallin H. Oaks, Elder Dallin H.
Well,
Oaks.
history shows that
History says it.
there is a possibility that it cannot be. It does not
Mhm.
have to be.
Correct.
But history, because we know that God is a God of order,
Correct.
he organized it and set it up. In the past, of course, I have been thinking about this and looking these things up since this happened, because that always seems to happen when one of them passed away. Then we look at the past, right? And um, two times we did not have a president of the church or a standalone prophet of the church for 3 years between some prophets.
Mhm.
Um, and then one time it was only a year and 8 months. And at that point, I think that the men saw this pattern that happened, right? That
Mhm.
God allowed to happen or taught them how it was supposed to happen by it always being that person that was president of the Quorum of the 12 being the prophet. With Brigham Young, Joseph Smith died, and it took 3 years and 6 months before Brigham Young was put in as prophet. And when he died, it was 3 years and 1 month before John Taylor was put in as prophet. And then when he died, it was a year and 8 months before Wilford Woodruff was put in as prophet. And they were all presidents of the Quorum of the 12 at the
Mhm.
time they were put in. And I think that that was a teaching moment those three times for the Lord to say, "This is my order,"
Right.
and for them to learn. And after that, that's how it has been. But there is always that possibility, because it
Correct.
is done by revelation and unanimousness. I don't
Mhm.
even know if that's a word, but I just made it up. Unanimousness of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles.
It's gonna
And
be our
what's
hashtag unanimousness.
yes. um, what I think is interesting is that it's not just the 12
Mhm.
that do the voting, so to speak, or the sustaining. It's 15 that do
Mhm.
it. And at this point, it's 15. Well, I guess maybe it is only 14, because no, it would be 15. It would still be 15. Um, so it's not just the Quorum of the 12. Those men that are in the Quorum of the 12 don't sit outside the room because they're the last ones in, and it makes more than 12. They are in the room at the time also. So it's not just 12. The last two, because you have two that are in the presidency. I don't know
Right.
if I'm not making sense. Tell me.
You are, because we have the 12 apostles who make up the quorum of the 12, And then you have the 3 from the presidency. You have
Yeah.
the prophet and his 2 counselors. So in this instance, the prophet passes away. There are now 14 of them. However, a new apostle has to be called.
Yeah. And they drop back in to their order. For
To their
example,
order. Yep.
President Oaks is president of the Quorum of the 12. But
Yep.
because he was in the first presidency, President Holland was called as acting president of the Quorum of the 12 because he
Correct.
is the next in line. Well, President Irene is after President Holland.
Yep.
So he will drop back into his order,
Yep.
right? And then you will basically have 15 because you have 2 additional ones from the counselors in the presidency. So there's actually 15 at that time that will do
Voting.
the praying and
Praying the revelation.
the
Not voting. That was that
receiving
wrong.
receiving the revelation
Receiving the
that
revelation. Yes.
of what, if they do agree with what is done in the past, right?
Yep.
And if there should be somebody else instead.
Yep.
And so that's the process in our church. So unless the Lord has something else planned, which our church believes in modern revelation, so we leave it open to that possibility. But if there is not anything else planned by the Lord, other than that we continue the same process of His plan that He has set out, His organization, then it will be President Oaks.
Which I'm going to say I find highly interesting right now because there have been we've had podcasts about love and law. Lots of people talk about a pendulum. Brother Halverson talks about it between this love and law space, and I'm like, wow. What does President Oaks do? What did he do for a living? He was a lawyer and a judge.
Mm-hmm.
And President Nelson was a heart surgeon. It's like love and law coming in sync right after each other. I find that fascinating.
Well, when I woke up this morning, I told my husband we were having this discussion, and I says, I don't think it's coincidence because at least this week, I think it was only 2 days ago, but it was at least this week, the church wrote a brief to the Supreme Court of a docket that had come to them about the transgender and being able not having to use specific bathrooms, right? According to their birth, that they should be able to do it to which ones they want. And the brief basically talked about the one that the church wrote and other churches have joined them in, is that if this is what they're going to do, they are asking that they have a I don't know what to call it, like a codification for religious abstination from it. That in religion,
that they're exempt from that part.
that's a better word. That they're exempt from having to do that. That they can say that you have to have be in alignment with your birth gender, and you have to use the bathroom for your birth gender, and they can say you don't get to do certain things if you are not in alignment with that, and if you are not in a opposite gender marriage.
Well, yeah, and it totally makes sense to me that the church would have this brief and that other churches would be a part of it because in essence, it might be about this transgender issue, but the church sees it as a larger issue of freedom of religion. If you're going to
Yes.
tell us what we can do here in our religion in this area and it possibly be outside our doctrine, then you're imposing on our freedom of religion. And
Mhm.
where else can you go now then? What
Right.
else can you tell us we can or can't do according to our doctrine? So
Yeah.
yeah, it is on this transgender issue, but it's really broader than that.
Well,
They're seeing it go down that road and they're nervous about that as other religions should be.
well, yeah, I just was saying that I thought it's not coincidence that
No.
this happened,
Mhm.
and now President Oaks is the prophet. Will
Oh
be the
yeah.
prophet. Will be the
Mhm.
prophet. Um, because I people last time when the church supported um the in here in Utah the bill of whatever that they that the Senate in Utah sent through that protection for same gender couples in
Mhm.
getting housing and getting things. The reason
Mhm.
the church supported that was because they put a, a, a clause in it that said that this did not include religions,
Mm.
that religions do not have to um, accept same gender marriages.
Right.
So people got confused and thought, well, why is the church supporting this? And then all of a sudden they don't let us do things. Well, they don't read the fine print,
Right.
right? So to speak. And it's because they're protecting our religious rights
Correct.
as members of a church, any church. It doesn't matter which church it is. You need to protect your religious rights of whatever it is that you believe, as long as those religious rights are not imposing physical harm on
Mhm.
anybody else,
Correct.
right? And so don't see. I see that it's poignant that it's him at this time.
Yes.
I also see that because you and I have a lot of friends and somewhat belong in the LGBTQ area,
Mhm.
that there will be a lot of people, and I know a lot of people, that do not like President Oaks. And there will be a lot of controversy, and there will be a lot of um, pain for them, I believe, as I see him clarifying more in detail marriage between a man and a woman. Um, and that's what I see. And I welcome it because that is God's plan. That is what God wants. And that is how he wants families to be ran in order to find um, the connection needed with him and become like him. Um, and that's why I don't think it's a coincidence.
Yeah, I don't think it's a coincidence. There was a time period when it came to Elder Oaks where it looked like wasn't he sick with cancer
Oh
or
yeah,
something? And
I
he
don't
looked there were a couple of conferences it was like, "Oh, he doesn't look good." Like, I don't know if he's long for this world. And then over time it's like he got better and better and he's looking great and he's 93 and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, what a moment in life here," because I do agree that there are people within the LDS community as members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints um, that are also within an LGBT community and they've struggled with the words that Elder Oaks has stated. And so I think there's going to be a moment of deep watchfulness and listening really well to what words he says to understand what he is um, saying to the entire church as the prophet. And with that new mantle on him, um, I'm just interested. I'm interested to see how General Conference goes
Well,
because
the first time in a while,
mhm,
obviously, in 7 years and 8 months, we will have a solemn assembly.
yeah. Mhm.
Um, I don't think they'll wait till another
Mm.
conference. I
No,
think
I
they'll do
don't
it
think
this
they will.
one. I do not know when they will have President Nelson's funeral. I don't know if
Right,
they're gonna do it before conference or if they'll do it after, but
right.
I do know that they will. I am almost positive we will do the solemn assembly this conference, um, for President Oaks. Um, now I have to question you a little on your
Oh,
statement there.
okay. Go ahead. Question me.
You said that you feel like people are going to listen carefully to his words. I
Uh-huh.
I I don't think so.
Okay.
I think those in the LGBT community are going to just take what they first think and they're going to
Mhm.
go for it because they did that with Elder Holland. Um,
Mhm.
they've done that with others. They do not listen to the actual words and listen to the feelings um, that that person is trying to convey when they say those words. Now,
So so then
active members of the church who want to,
uh-huh.
listen and understand him are going to do that. But those in the LGBT community that are kind of trying to figure things out, they're going to go very quickly to negative of what he
So
said.
then let me clarify that then,
Yes, yes.
Myrna. What I mean by listening really intently is they are going to listen for something that will trigger them and they will be shooting off in a direction.
Amen. Amen. I will go
So
with that.
so
I
that
will I accept that.
they're going to listen hard because they want to hear what they want to hear so that they can take it off like they did with Elder Holland's talk.
I will agree with that. We're on the same page on
So
that one. Mhm.
so and I find it interesting right now we've had podcasts, Myrna, about the fact that these days it's not only one person who experiences same-sex attraction that is leaving the church like within a family, the entire family is leaving the church. So as
Mhm.
we see this changeover, um I'm I am just open to see what happens and
Yeah.
what kind of comments and words happen. What is said about President Oaks, um, because I I truly believe that there is a living prophet on this earth, and right now that is being switched over, and I believe that the pattern will show that Elder Oaks,
Yeah.
that he will become the next prophet. And whether I agree with all of his words or not, that man understands doctrine and understands um, that realm of it, I believe. And am ready to be enlightened with what he has to say. I recently was online reading some old conference talks,
Mhm.
and I can't remember whose it was, but I found it fascinating because they went through and showed how many things are actually conditional when it comes to God. Even the statement, if ye love me, that's a condition, keep my commandments. So if you want to show God your love, what do? You
Keep
keep
your
the
commandments.
commandments. You keep his commandments, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And so it went through several different places, and there were a couple in there that I didn't think of as conditional. I just thought, oh, here's the statement. And then I realized, oh my goodness, that isn't a statement. That's a condition.
Mhm.
And it's that type of thinking that I'm interested to see as with Elder Oak's profession, if that's going to translate into his being a prophet. And I can only assume it will because it has with all the other prophets in their professions.
Yeah. I I too was watching Elder Oaks as it seemed to be he was declining.
Mhm.
And I believe I believe he kind of felt like he would not be prophet
Mm.
with I mean, President Nelson was doing great,
Mhm.
right? He was still walking
Mhm.
on his own, right?
Mhm.
2 years ago.
Right, into his late
Um,
90s.
yeah. And so I I I think that Elder Oaks really probably never thought he would be prophet, which is here nor there. I don't
Right,
think it mattered to him, to be honest, the
right,
love those men have and the where they've been and what they've done and what they've learned and and maybe who they've communed with from the other side. I don't think that was important to him, but I really wonder and kind of think he probably didn't think he was going to ever be prophet
right.
because this man before him was like living it up, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah,
he was living it, and
right.
we've seen it very quickly that President Nelson has gone down,
Yep.
right? Um, and so we don't know. Maybe we won't have President Oaks for very long, and it will be back down to Elder Holland. But when I was looking at this list, and the one that has served the least amount of time
Mhm.
is Howard W. Hunter for nine
Yep,
months.
yep.
9 months was all he served. Um, and then the one that was the next one that I remember that didn't serve very long. Well, I don't really remember because I was little, but I do remember that he didn't serve very long, and that was Harold B. Lee.
Oh,
He only served for 1 year and 5 months. Um, and so um, I think that's interesting. It will be interesting to watch and see how long
mhm,
we have him.
mhm.
He has come back to looking so much
Healthier. Mhm.
healthier than he did before. I was going to say more alive than he did
Yeah.
before. Healthier is a better word. Um, um, way more healthy than he has in the past.
Mhm.
And so it will be interesting to see how long how long does he
Yeah,
actually serve and
mhm.
what his responsibility is. I
Right.
think President Nelson, you are absolutely right. I think he was here to teach us love and peace making and prepare us for a time which I think we're seeing right now beginning where Christians will be persecuted again.
Mhm.
And we need to be peaceful in that situation. We because of what has happened at this church, we should not act out and you know go on the rampage about it. Um, and that comes from his love and the way that he knows how to. Uh, I think he probably was a great bishop in knowing
Mhm.
how to succor the people in his ward. I think he probably was amazing at that. Um, but I think he's preparing us for this time when things will get hard, and it will not be easy. And I think it's um, poignant. Not that I wanted this to happen, but it's poignant that his transition and this happened so quickly after
Mhm.
that. It was kind of like this is what he was teaching us is the peacemaking. Even when these kind of situations happen, we need to be um, leaders in patience, love, and forgiveness.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I am saddened because I have loved the lessons he has tried to teach us, and I have tried to change because of it.
Mhm.
There's been a big change in my life with
I've
what
seen it.
with what President Nelson has said, and what we have learned from our friend Jared Halverson. Um, and so I've had a big change that has come as I have strived to be better at, doing what God wants me to do, not what I want to do.
Right.
Um, and so I do look forward to seeing what I learned from President Oaks and what kind of person I become as I try to put those lessons in my life through his service.
Right.
Anything else you want to share?
Um, I just, I don't know. I just have a sadness in my heart for back-to-back things happening so quickly for our religious community. And our baptismal covenants seem more poignant right now than ever to mourn with those that mourn and comfort those that stand in need of comfort. And I think everyone right now is feeling it today.
Yeah.
So I would ask our podcast community, people who find us and listen, if there's one thing to take away, um, be a little kinder and reach out to those people that might just come into your mind, and give them a call, because you have no idea who is affected in what way by what has happened. And as we believe President Dowling H. Oaks will be called to be prophet and soon sustained. These transitions are always of interest because a lot of people grow up with one prophet and it's kind of their favorite prophet and they connect to him. Um, and at this point, I'm just interested to see where the Lord is taking his church with a new leader in charge. And the church is
Yeah.
still true. The gospel doctrine is there still, and it'll just be interesting to see where his focus and priorities are. And I am always for religious freedom. I want to have it, and I want others to have it so I can
Yeah.
have it. And so it'll be interesting to see where that brief goes and how it hits and lands, with all the other churches behind it uh, at this point, because it does feel like we are physically under assault and maybe legally starting to be legally under assault. And we know um, that we're spiritually under assault. And
Hmm.
I mean, how many more ways can Christians be under assault at this point?
Yeah. Well, also, just for one moment, I've heard some predictions
Oh.
as to who will be his counselors.
Oh.
Now, this came from a non member who used to be a member.
Uh-huh.
Um, and he thinks that President Oaks will keep President Irene in as a counselor,
Mm-hmm.
and that he'll bring David A. Bednar in as a
Oh,
counselor.
interesting.
Do you have any thoughts?
You know what? I didn't even think about that. Um, I didn't even think about that. Let me see. Let me see. I think those are actually pretty good predictions. In the end, having Bednar in there, I really do love Bednar and the way he discusses things. Um, I like that combination actually. Though it
I
would
had
be
it.
interesting, it would be interesting to have like younger guys put in,
Yeah.
like some of the younger ones. And when I say younger, what, they're in their 70s.
Yeah. They're not as young as we are.
Right? Because like
I
who is the youngest apostle right now? Let's see.
don't know.
Um the youngest, nope, he was age 52 when he was called. Bednar was 52 when he was called, and it's been like over 20 years, so he's 72. So let me see. I'm looking for a list right here. So the youngest here is 64, Elder Kieran.
Yeah, I thought so. Um, I have a different prediction,
Okay, what's your prediction?
and I could totally be wrong. I could
Okay,
absolutely be wrong.
let's hear
But
it.
I see him bringing Elder Kieran in because he has done some heavy talking
Oh, he has.
lately,
Uh-huh.
and Elder Christopherson.
Oh, I like that. That's a good combo.
That's what I'm seeing. But like I said, I haven't paid enough attention to be able to really think of that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I
Well,
think I think Elder Irene has been in there a long time,
yes, I
and
agree.
maybe they see a an opportunity for him to have a little bit of a rest.
Well, he's 92 years old or
Yes.
so I think it would be great to get one of the like Elder Uchtdorf in there.
Yeah,
Um
a lot of people did not like it when he was taken out last time.
oh really?
There was almost
I
what a petition sent to the church
oh
headquarters to
funny.
put him back in.
Um Elder Bednar I think is a really good choice. He's in his like early 70s. And I don't know, there's something about an opportunity for some of those guys to be in that first presidency and take on those different roles. Because sometimes we've had someone in there and they've been in there through like three presidents, right?
Well, Iron's been in there for I want to say 4.
Four. So I think it would be great to see one of the younger ones in there and have them have that experience as well. Or at least a few of them having that increased responsibility just as leadership in understanding those other roles. Not that it's necessary or needed, but I could see there being great wisdom in it.
Yeah. I
We'll
was just
find
going
out
by people
soon.
that I was just going by people
Yeah.
that have done some heavy talking.
Oh, they have.
And Elder Christopherson has done a lot of discussion about LGBT stuff.
He has. Yeah.
Um, and so I think that being a big issue might be something that the Lord will want
Have.
someone in
Can speak to it.
that can
Well,
speak to that a little bit more than some of the others. But
well I
those are my predictions, but they're probably
okay.
wrong.
We will see what happens this weekend. We'll see what
Oh,
happens in
I
General
think
Conference.
they will announce it before conference.
Yeah, but I just want to listen to the talks and see because um President Nelson has been pre-recording some of his. Did
Yes.
he do a pre-recorded one?
I'm sure he has, and people have talked about that. They have
Mhm.
some people say that they feel like they're going to play it.
Mhm.
Um, I don't think they're going to.
Yeah.
Um, now another option they said was having his wife read his.
Hmm.
Um,
I don't know.
but she's never talked in conference.
Right.
And I mean, they can always go out of the box. Don't get me wrong.
Well, but they could always release it online as the final words of our of President Nelson. They could do lots of things.
They could do
Whatever.
anything. It just depends on how they see it, right?
Yep.
How they see that if that talk was um
Mhm.
is a necessity for it to be out there
Mhm.
or not. So
Uh,
that will be interesting. This
mhm.
conference will be interesting
Mhm.
um for some of those reasons, but I
Mhm.
also think it will be a very spiritual filled
Yeah.
conference more so for I feel for me just because of this change of
Yes.
prophet. I think I
Yeah.
will be listening a little bit more,
Right.
paying attention a little bit more. Not that I don't listen to conference, but
Yeah.
um, listening for more things. Um, So
Listening.
it will be interesting, um, how it's laid out
Yep.
after now.
Yep, I fully agree. Of it'll be a moment of listening to see what lands in my heart to soothe any of the feelings that are out there right now.
Well, yeah, and, again, I'm reminded of what my mission president said, because when I was out there, there was a change of presidents, and, he said, "It's our responsibility as members of the church, and even more so when we were missionaries, to gain our own testimony
Right.
that this is who God wants as his prophet right now." Um, and so that was, I think that's still, um, what we have, and that was Spencer W. Kimball was put
Right.
in. Harold B. Lee passed away. Um, and so I think it's, wait, no, that's when he died. Wait, who was it again? Hang on. Ezra Taft Benson was the
Oh,
one that
yeah,
was put in. I was looking on the wrong column.
yeah.
Um, he was put in 85 when I was on my mission. Um, and so we need to remember that even though this is going to happen, we still need to get on our knees and ask for our own confirmation
Right.
that
Good point.
he is the prophet, um, and not just take it for granted. Receive our own witness, just as we should with the things that we learn, with the prophets that we read about. We should ask those questions of the Lord. Was Nephi really one of your prophets? Was so and so one of your prophets?
Mhm.
Is this really true, what I've been reading in the scriptures? And we should be asking those questions so that we have our own testimony
Right.
of all the different things that are in the Book of Mormon, not just that the Book of Mormon's true, but
Right.
that all the little things that have happened were true also.
Right.
So I
Good
think that
reminder.
we need to take that time to do that at this time after it's announced, and get down on our knees and ask for that witness of our own, because we have that right, as
Mhm.
members of the church, to ask for that.
Right.
So, like I said, this was going to be a short video, but of course, we did not make it a short video. But we want you all to know that we know the church is true, and we know that
Yep.
this change of prophet, um, is done in God's way,
Yep.
and that He has a hand in everything that is happening at this crazy
Yep.
time. Um, I was reading, or listening to someone that was in the chapel, with this tragedy, and they said this happened right after they got done with the sacrament.
Mhm.
And I thought, isn't that, not that anybody wants to die, but isn't that amazing to die after having taken your sacrament, and return back to your Heavenly Father afterwards? So, um,
Mm.
I see the Lord's hand in many things happening right now in our lives. So please take the time to find your own witness. Please comment. Let us know what you think, how you're feeling at this time.
Yeah.
And thank you for being here. And please come back again to visit us and let us know how you're doing. And thank you so much for being here. And as
Yes.
we always say, continue to fight for truth and righteousness in these latter days. Bye.
Bye.